Alrighty, so UFC France, Paris, whatever the fuck you want to call it, Nasruddin Imavov versus Kyle Brahalio just took place, and I'm here to give you my breakdown, takeaway from every fight, and we're probably gonna speedrun this shit because there was a lot of finishes, and I got some Silk Song to play. Okay, that game is fucking goated, probably gonna be game of the year. I'm addicted. Let's get going on the road here. Okay, so Shauna Banon. By the way, if you're new here, all right, I do picks and predictions every single week. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. You know how it is. Hit the like button. You know, helps the algo, gets more people open to the new era of YouTube that I will be creating. But regardless of that, let's get into the fight card. I do this purely with passion. I did end up winning money. I did bet on the fight. We'll get to that fight when we get to it. I don't do any promotion for anything like that. I just do this shit pretty much purely off passion. I love this sport, even though it's in a shitty state. About 3 years into the game now. Yeah, let's get going. Shauna Banon versus Sam Hughes. I went with Sam Hughes, aka the coin that I flipped for women's fights went with Sam Hughes. The only way you pick women's MMA's fight correctly in Big 2025 is via the coin. The coin knows everything. The coin knows all. Okay, so coin gets it done. Flawless on the card. W coin. Coin flip gets it done. Sam Hughes wins because Shauna Banon fucking sucks, and it's women's MMA. I mean, not really much else to say. Moving on to the real fights. Andreas Gustafsson versus Rinat Fakhretdinov. I went with Andreas Gustafsson, like probably a lot of people, and I think what we found out here, okay, when you have rune tattoos on your fucking neck, that's a big red flag, okay? Neck tattoos, big red flag. You know, who was Jordan Vucenic? Big red flag, okay? Cody Garbrandt, we could see the downfall from fucking here, okay? Andreas Gustafsson, what was the other guy? There was another guy recently, not Brightcheck. He was like, he got knocked out by Ryan Loder. Robert Valentin, that's another guy with runes on his fucking neck. Yeah, runes on the neck, I mean, don't fucking pick them in fights. That's pretty much what we learned. Andreas Gustafsson, I literally picked him because his performance on Chaos Williams, I thought was impressive. To be tough enough to survive Chaos Williams and bring the pressure and non-stop pressure. What we found out from this fight is that Andreas Gustafsson doesn't know how to throw a fucking punch. I genuinely think I could walk into any gym right now and they would show me a better hook than I saw Andreas throw. It was slow. It was like, bro, it was literally like, yeah, yeah, yeah. You know, like, what the fuck are we doing, Andreas Gustafsson? Learn how to throw a punch. Anyways, this was mainly going against Rinat Fakhretdinov. Mainly because he's been looking breakable in his last, like, 2, maybe 3 fights. And Rinat did win this one. And I'm, I guess, happy for Rinat. Hey, how good is Brian Battle, boys? Only the great Rinat Fakhretdinov. A guy who's, what, like 21, 22 win streak, something like that. Only the great Rinat Fakhretdinov can fraud check our boy, Brian Battle. You know, he will be champ. We will be back. We got signed to the PFL. We are going to make a run and then earn our way back to a UFC belt. Regardless of that, you know, I should have went with my gut, picked Rinat because, you know, very few humans on this planet can even hold a candle to our Lord and Savior Brian Battle. So, it is what it is. I went against Rinat and I ended up paying for it. I went with Andreas. Andreas literally got, like, jabbed and I swear to God his brain turned off. I don't know how you go with war with Chaos Williams to getting fucking jabbed. I think it was literally a 1-2 just made Andreas quit. Like, he got 1-2'd and he's like, oh shit, I've never got hit like that before. And then he just curled up in a ball. He wanted to, I guess his idol might be Anthony Smith, and he wanted to role play Anthony Smith. Didn't work out. He doesn't have the right skill points to use that weaponry. You know, he doesn't have the right skills to use that weapon art yet, okay? He's got to level up a little bit more. Got to fight some more hollows, but it is what it is. Andreas gets fraud checked. Yeah, he's like, oof. It's hard to pick either of these guys going forward, because you can make the argument it was a fluke KO, because it was like a 1-2 that just hit, I guess, right on Andreas' chin. And then Andreas could look like a savage in his next fight. Literally, pound for pound, he might have some of the best clinch work, but this This fight, he literally got jabbed and was like, all right, time to go to sleep, you know? Time to go home. I got my 30K. Fuck this sport. But yeah, it is what it is. Moving on, Brad Tavares versus Robert Brychek. I went with Brad Tavares. And my reasoning behind it was that I think you have to be, like, good at... You have to have an X factor to beat Brad Tavares, you know? And round 1 and 2, I thought were pretty... I thought round 2 was close. And I thought round 1 was probably Brychek's. Yeah, because he dropped Brad pretty bad. And, like, man, here's the thing with... Bro, I hate these fucking fights, man. These are, like, this matchup is the pinnacle of matchups I hate fucking picking. Because you have Brad Tavares, a guy who will literally roleplay a punching bag because he thinks he's doing fine. And then you have a guy who got fraud checked in his debut against a pretty not great opponent. He's got a lot of losses. He's got okay amount of wins. He's unproven in the UFC. Like, I just fucking hate this. But it's time to cut Brad Tavares. I did go Brad Tavares. I just thought, like, boxing-wise, I thought he'd be a little bit better. I didn't think he'd be running on the back foot, running away the whole time. And when he got hit, I wasn't expecting him to just literally sit there and hold his guard. I think I did mention it in my breakdown, or I've mentioned it in a Brad Tavares breakdown before. This guy will... Like, the way he responds is that he'll stand there, getting hit, and not respond, which is not what you want to do ever in MMA. That's why I picked Gerald Mearshart against this fucking guy. You know, this guy will roleplay a punching bag, you know? But Brychek, I was expecting him to be a little bit more grappling heavy, because I thought his Eeyore fight, if I remember, there was a lot more grappling involved in that. But striking-wise, Brychek looked clean in this fight. He looked really good. You know, credit to Brychek where credit is due. He did look really good boxing-wise against Brad Tavares. But Brad Tavares is just like a Bruno Silva now, where he's just like washed, brain damaged, and like, oh man. Round 1 and 2, I thought were pretty close. Well, round 1 I thought was very clear Brad Tavares. I think Brad ended up on top by the end of it, I want to say. Or no, I'm thinking of the Mason Jones fight. We'll get to that one. But yeah, it is what it is. I thought Brad got pretty whooped. Oh, he did end up on top. I remember now because he was like rubbing his fucking blood all over Brychek. But Brychek, in round 2, I thought was having a little bit harder time dealing with Brad Tavares. Landed better, but I think Brad was maybe up on numbers. And then round 3, he started like hitting Brad, and Brad covered up, got put to the cage. He got wobbled pretty bad, I think, by a right hand. And he went down to the cage. He had his back against the cage, and he goes to his knees. And I guess he thought he was Derek Lewis or some shit. Because he went to his knees and just went to the ground while the ref's standing there. Brother, you can't be doing that. You know? If you get knocked down while Brychek's landing 100% shots, like, the fucking ref isn't gonna be like, oh yeah, that's normal. This is all part of Brad Tavares' game plan. The legendary Brad Tavares, Derek Lewis technique. You know, like, they're not going to fucking think about that. You know, they're going to be like, damn, this guy's landing big shots and this guy just went down. You know, so Brad doing what he was doing, going to the ground, I thought was weak. I was just like, yeah, you deserve to lose after that, even though I picked him. Still just like, Brad, like, get the fuck out of the UFC. You don't belong here. Back, go to PFL or some shit, all right? But yeah, Hawaiian doesn't get it done. He broke pretty easy in round 3. It is what it is. His brain is not there for UFC. Like, it's not. Like, when you get hit, you have to throw back in order to win rounds. When you get hit 4 times, you have to land equal or more with heavier damage to win the round, Brad Tavares. Like, fuck me, man. This guy just doesn't understand it. But it is what it is. Brad Tavares loses. Can't, like, oh man, I just hate this. I hate this so much because it's like I can't pick Brad Tavares in his next fight. But if he goes against another because this was a layup. This was a guy who lost his debut and is not really known to be that good. And listen, he hits hard, but he does look like he has some gas problems, and he looks like he's open to get taken down by any like decent level grappler. So it is what it is. It's going to be rough picking their fights from, like, both these guys' picks from now on, but it is what it is. Moving on, Sam Patterson versus Trey Waters. I was on the Trey Waters side. I went with Trey Waters. I thought his Billy Ray Goff stand-up performance, I thought was pretty impressive. Trey Waters is like the welterweight tall Bobby Green. Am I the only one? Bro, I swear to God, every time he was in there, he'd he'd dodge a punch and be like the whole time, like, brother, what are we doing? I want a woman to look at me the way Trey Waters looks at his opponent, bro. Every time he'd like, you know, like, what are we doing, brother? Like, throw back, man. No, but Trey was doing good. He was doing really good. He's piecing up Sam Patterson. He bloodied up Sam Patterson's nose. Sam doesn't look like he's got a good chin, so I think anyone with good power will probably knock him out. But the Battle of the Giants, these guys 6'2", 6'3", something like that, 6'1". I think Sam is a little bit taller at like 6'3", Trey's like 6'1", 6'2". Or it's all, no, I think Trey is 6'2", 6'3", and Sam's 6'1". Regardless, both of these guys are like twinks at welterweight. They'll probably never be like anything big. Like, Neil Magny owns these kids. I'll say that. What else? That's a crazy sentence to say. I can't believe. Anyways, moving on. Like, Carlos Prates whooping these guys. Vicente Luque kills these kids. Jesus Christ. I gotta chill out with that. I've been watching too much Star Wars Revenge of the Sith. Anyways. Yeah, I just, like, Trey Waters was looking good, and he was flexing, and, like, you know, doing his thing, getting in his flow state. But the problem was, his brain turned off after getting jabbed. I don't know what it is, man. Like, this card was riddled with it. Once they got clipped, it was like their whole fucking brain shut off. And I know it's like, oh, he got hit by a hard shot. Billy. Yeah, but, bro, he went to war with Billy Ray Goff. I know it's Billy Ray Goff, and he probably doesn't hit as hard as maybe Sam Patterson, but that was like a one. That was literally a jab. And it's like, Billy, and a fucking brain off. Go against a cage, fucking crumble, you know? And he was wobbling around. It was very Jared Cannonier Imavov, where it's just like he's fucking bumbling around like an oaf. This one was definitely a little bit more warranted stoppage than like the Imavov Jared Cannonier. I think you could have let it go a little bit longer, but it definitely looked like Trey Waters wanted it out. He raised his hand. He was like, bro, get me out of here, you know? So I don't think Trey Waters wanted to get fucking flatline KO'd, but rough one for Trey Waters. He was looking good, and then he just got clipped, and it was just over, you know? That's how the battles of the Giants go, you know? Same thing happened with Sean Woodson, that other dude that I don't remember that fucking big-ass guy's name. Anyways, moving on. Harry Hardwick versus Kyle Fernandez. Can we just say what it was? Kyle Fernandez beat some guy, some fucking twink femboy at a bar, you know? Like, they found Harry Hardwick in the middle of the street, and we're like, yo, so there's this UFC event thing going on, and, you know, his opponent pulled out. You want to fight? And Harry's just like, yeah, I'll fight him. And he goes in there. Bro, this guy just, he doesn't look like a UFC. I know it's his debut. I think he's like a champion in some LF No One Cares or some shit like that. I don't know, like Cage Warriors or some shit. But regardless, Harry Hardwick looks like he's never actually fought a day in his life. I only watch UFC. I don't watch like these outside UFC matchups. Maybe this guy looks like a killer in something. Bro, this guy, his bones look like they're made out of sticks. Or sorry, his limbs. His limbs literally look like they're made out of sticks. And he broke like they were made out of sticks. He got leg kicked like 3 times. And he's starting to do the, why I got a stance at fucking, how old is he? Like 30, 31, I want to say? He's like pretty young, isn't he? Not gonna give me his age, you fucking Google fucking dog shit fucking. How old is this guy? 1994. Math. If I was 02, that's 8 years older than me. Oh, math. Oh. So he's like 30, 31, something like that. Yeah, regardless, Harry Hardwick does not belong to the UFC. This guy's a fucking... Sticks and stones will break his bones, let me tell you. Holy shit. But, Jesus Christ. Yeah, Kyle Fernandez got it done. I picked Kyle Fernandez. I put it in the description because the fight fell out. I was originally against Kyle Fernandez, but he is not that bad. Don't know who this Harry Hardwick guy is. I'm not trusting a lightweight short notice. This guy looks like he's going up a weight class. Not trusting it. Anyways, moving on. Marcin Tybura versus Ante Delija. I went with Tybura. And if Tybura... This is the thing with Tybura. If Tybura's going to lose, he's going to look one way. Okay? And he's not going to receive the strikes well. He's going to go down and get KO'd. That's how it goes. That's how Tybura loses every time, you know? But if Tybura wins, it's because he won a decision, because he out-grappled you, held you against the cage. It's because he was able to get on top position. It's because he was able to grapple you. It's because he was peppering you at range and you never landed a big shot. I said it in my breakdown, Marcin Tybura's biggest weakness, and the only thing I was worried about, is how he responds to strikes. Like, he's not a terrible striker for heavyweight, and his grappling is probably the best out of below top 10, I'd say, you know? And I didn't trust this Ante Delija guy. I don't give a fuck. Debut, 35 years old. Don't know who this guy is. Don't give a fuck. Regardless, Marcin Tybura, he did lose the way I thought if he were to lose, was going to lose. He got clipped by right hand, went down, got uppercutted, out cold, you know? He just doesn't ever receive strikes well. You know, when he gets hit, his head is fucking, it's a bobblehead, bro. This guy's fucking bouncing all over the place, you know? When you get clipped by that right hand, and then that vicious uppercut finished the job. Marcin Tybura was kind of doing his thing until he backed up a little too much, got clipped. It is what it is. Tybura got not really fraud checked, I guess, but Tybura got shown his age. He's a 40-year-old man. People forget, man. Marcin Tybura, he's up there, man. Pound for pound, one of the best grapplers heavyweight's ever seen. But yeah, Ante Delija got it done nice. Cried in the octagon. I think he's partners with Tom Aspinall or something, but we saw Mick Porkin. I want to say Mick Parkin. Was that his name? The other English guy who trains with Tom Aspinall fight Tybura, and he lost. So I kind of thought that was what this was going to be. And this guy's older too, but he got it done. He looked good, I guess. Not like, I can't... Who's that fat fucking Russian who just got signed, who fought Curtis Blade? Kuniev? Have Kuniev, Ante Delija prove who deserves their fucking UFC spot, okay? I know Kuniev just lost, but we need to see, like, Delija get, like, another number in his UFC record before we give him a fucking title shot or a #1 contenders bout, you know? Because I need to see more. I know he's a heavyweight, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Friends with Tom Aspinall, so there's no reason to rush him to the belt either. I think. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure they're friends. But yeah, moving on. Umar Sy versus Brenson Ribeiro. I wanted to go Brenson. To be honest, bro, I really did want to go Brenson here. I don't know if I said it in my breakdown, but I really did want to go Brenson because this guy is wicked and he is dangerous. But ultimately, Brenson does break when you are like a boring, grindy fighter. You know? Ah, fuck. I just did something on my foot. Jesus Christ. Anyways, and Umar Sy, even though it was one of the most embarrassing performances I've ever seen against Alonzo Meadowfield, Umar Sy is, like, talented. He is you know, bro, is he the modern day Ryan Spann? Is he the modern day Ryan Spann, boys? Is this who Umar Sy is? Just saying, putting it out there, throwing it in the universe. Heard it here first. Yeah, he will beat, like, these bums who are outside the rankings who are dog shit. You know, maybe the lights were just too bright when he was fighting Alonzo Meadowfield. Maybe he had staph infection. Maybe there was a torn meniscus or some shit going on. But the Umar Sy that came out here was, like, ready to fucking go after it. And he was slowly prepping Brenson. Brenson, I think, landed a few good shots on Umar Sy. And it was like, ooh, moments. But, you know, minus 400. Got Brenson down. Brenson's pretty good at, like, trying to do some tricky shit. I think he did reverse. He almost reversed the takedown with the Kimura. I think like he did against the other guy, Dyer. He was going for that Kimura, couldn't get it, and Umar Sy just kind of laid on top. And when he laid on top, he was just able to get that finish. Brenson Ribeiro, I think, was out via ground and pound. It was a really weird, like, they weren't like big shots or anything in my opinion, but Brenson just kind of like held the back of his head and just waited for the stoppage to happen. You know, I don't think he realized how much time was left. Otherwise, he probably would have tried a little harder. Or he was out via back of the head shots because they were back of the head shots. Yeah, it is what it is. Umar Sy gets it done. I got my prediction right. I said decision, but I mean, he got it done via finish. Good for him, I guess. Brenson Ribeiro is kind of like a 50-50 fighter. Brenson's got to do something. Fight some bums. Stop fighting these, like, prospects. You know what I mean? Let's get some win streaks going, Brenson Ribeiro. Anyways, moving on. And Umar Sy, give him another can. You know, I don't think I want to see him fight, like, another ranked contender yet. William Gomes versus Robert Ruchala. I'll keep it a buck. I genuinely thought Robert Ruchala... I thought this guy won round 1 and 2. I did. I picked William Gomez. I am biased towards William Gomez. I like most of William Gomez's performance, and I think he's pretty good. I thought Ruchala won round 1 and 2. I thought he did more. Or I don't think he did more on the feet, but he had the pressure. He had the control time. And William Gomez barely outlanded him, if he outlanded him. And I literally thought by the end of round 2, I was like, damn. Robert Ruchala's out William Gomezing William Gomez, you know? I was like, holy shit. This guy's actually, like, outdoing what this guy's good at. And then in round 3, I see he's a minus 8,000 favorite. And I'm like, what the fuck are people watching? But pre-written scorecards, it's French. He's a French fighter. He gets the nod. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm off. Maybe I wasn't paying enough attention to the strikes. But I just thought Robert Ruchala, he literally had like 2 minutes control time in round 1 at the end of it. And he had a minute 30, I think, in round 2 when he held him against the cage. And he was landing knees. I thought he did pretty well. Like, don't get me wrong. It was a disgusting fight. Like, William Gomez made it pretty boring. And Robert Ruchala kind of looked like Ricky Glenn out there. Like, not very technical. Just throw, hug, and that's it. You know, not like a jab cross. It's literally like, throw those hands out there, you know? Hit him with all you got. And he's just fucking, he's throwing to throw pretty much. But I did think it was like more competitive than this. Yeah, man, I don't know. I really thought Robert Ruchala won this. There was at one point where he reversed position. I think it was a 29-28. So I think they might have given round 2 to Robert. But I thought round 1 was pretty clear, Robert. I don't know. Maybe I'm off. Or it's pre-written scorecards, because there's definitely one of those when we get to the main event. But we'll get there when we get there. Moving on, Axel Sola versus Reese McKee. I went with Skeletor. I'll keep it a buck, which if you don't know, hey, study, bro, okay? But I went with Reese McKee because he's Skeletor. But I mainly went with him because I don't know who this Axel Sola kid is. Debut, don't give a fuck about debut fighters, and I thought Reese McKee was like and so far I've had like a 100% win rate with Reese McKee, I believe. You know, I picked him against Daniel Frunza, whatever the fuck that guy's name was, and he did all right. He's okay. He's like if you took Dan Hooker, put him in welterweight, and then cut all his stats by 50%. You know, his face is easier to cut up. His chin isn't really the same, but it's still all right. His striking isn't really the same, but it's still all right. You know, like it's a little slower, a little more open. He responds to damage like pretty much the same way. Like they both sort of get hit and they sort of like crunch up. But round 1, I thought was pretty clear. Axel Sola. Maybe you could have argued Reese McKee, but I thought Axel Sola was just landing more. And landing the better shots. He was getting tagged, to be fair, but I thought he was doing well. Round 2, similar situation. Axel Sola on the back foot, but he's just outlanding. He's landing 2 or 3 strikes whenever Reese lands a jab. And yeah, he's just doing well. Very like Yusuf Zalal Cater. So boring. Very Oldberg, Jan Blachowicz. So boring. But like a little bit more clear on the Axel Sola side. It was a lot more dangerous fight. Like there was like, oh shit, it might get finished here in rounds 1 and 2. But yeah, Reese McKee's tough. And then in round 3, I disagree with the stoppage. I think Axel Sola probably would have won 29-28, 30-27, either or. Very clearly, if the fight continued. Damage as well. Like Reese McKee's face was pretty fucked up by the end of round 2. And that was from round 1 and 2. But Axel did well. He looked pretty good in this fight. Damn, he has never lost? Really? Huh, interesting. I think he was also the favorite. I could be wrong there. Maybe Reese McKee was the favorite, but yeah, Axel looked pretty good. He looked a little slow, and he looked like he doesn't do that much damage. Like, if someone can guard his shots, not like Reese McKee, who has his hands down constantly, then I think, like, Axel's going to struggle. And if someone's, like, counter-striking with Axel, I think they'll get the better of him. Because Reese McKee was kind of chasing Axel way too much, you know? Reese should have just, like, jabbed, and if he missed, like, change it up, mix it up, you know, get something going. Yeah, you know, I thought it was really interesting to see Reese McKee kind of just get fucked up the whole time. But yeah, round three, I disagree wholeheartedly with the stoppage. Reese McKee got hit to the body pretty hard, and Axel was doing really good body work, very, very good body work. And as he was landing to the body, he lands one really, really good strike, like on the 5th time, like right on the button in that round, in round 3. Reese McKee goes down, Axel goes to the side, and Reese McKee, I know what the ref was thinking, but come on, you gotta be smarter than this. Reese goes down to grab the wrist of Axel, and the ref stops the fight, and it's Herb fucking Dean. Genuinely, we need to fire refs that are older than 40 years old. These guys are too old to ref this sport. Get them the fuck out of this sport. Herb Dean needs to be fired immediately after this event, by the way. Holy shit. It's one thing to get this call wrong. Herb's got many calls wrong. Herb stops the fight because he was getting wrist control. Okay? And he was... Like, Axel was landing, like, tappy punches to the dome of Reese, but those are tappy... Reese went down to a body shot and then was getting tapped on his forehead. Like, his bad optics. That's not a, oh my god, he's about to die moment, you know? That's oh, okay, let me give this guy some time to recover because he's not being striked where he's just been put down with. It'd be different if Reese just got clipped on the jaw, fell down, and now is getting his fucking head banged in. You know? That's different. He went down to a body shot, and then Axel was landing on the head. Those are two very different spots. One of them was just compromised, and the other one is currently in the works of being compromised. Let him compromise that fucking head, you know? Let Reese McKee die, you know? No, but, like, seriously, though. Herb, what the fuck are we doing? And then when Reese, like, is protesting it, rightfully so, in my opinion, Herb mocks him and looks at him, points at him, and you see it on the camera, and he's like, ugh, ugh, and fakes like him getting hit to the body. He speaks English, you fucking moron! What the fuck? Just tell him, oh, I thought you were hurt to the body. Don't look at him and be like, huh, ugh. Jesus Christ, that's like I just watched my buddy get fucking knocked out, and I go up to him like, and I fake it like the knockout. Like, bro, are you for real? Like, this is your job. The fuck Reese McKee do to you, you fucking... Oh, man, shitty ref. Jesus Christ, but because, oh, he showed up on Joe Rogan's podcast one time. He's the best ref of all fucking time. Oh my god, Joe Rogan vouched for him, guys. Wow! Wow! Unbelievable! Jesus Christ, get these refs out of my sport. Anyways, genuinely, 20% of the reason why UFC is going downhill is because of the refs. They're shit. They're so dog shit, and they've been around forever. Moving on. Blagioki, Mason Jones. Pretty good fight. Blagioki was landing really well in round 1. I went with Blagioki. I just thought he was more dangerous. I thought Mason Jones doesn't move his fucking head. Doesn't move his fucking head. Drops Mason Jones twice. They didn't credit both of them, but he dropped Mason Jones twice within the first, like, 10 seconds. And then Blagioki was looking really good in round 1. Piecing up Mason Jones. Mason Jones' fucking face gets fucked up. Stuffs some takedowns. But he does get taken down at the end of the round. And Mason Jones sort of lays on top. And we start saying, oh, look who's a grappler now. You know, moments after him getting pieced up. And then round 2 starts up. Mason Jones, a.k.a. Welsh JDM. By the way, did not know... I'm not familiar with a lot of flags. Did not know the Welsh flag is white and green with a fucking red dragon on it. What a W flag. I'm not Welsh, I'm Canadian. But Jesus Christ. Hey, what a W flag. God damn, that flag's kind of aura, not gonna lie. But looks like JDM fights like Michael Chandler in his prime. Mason Jones ends up coming back in round 2. Starts piecing up Blagioki too. Like, he was piecing him up. Like, Blagio was landing, but Mason could just eat it, you know? And it could have been the pop taken away in round 1. But I think it was more like Blagio just... Like, Mason Jones finding the timing. You know? Like, Mason will always give one to take one. Or, yeah, take one to give one. You know? And you respect it. And even though it's like, bro, hey, Jeremy Stevenson in Big 2025, better than Blagioki. Confirmed? But, yeah, Mason Jones gets on top of Blagioki. Blagioki can't really do anything. Defends some chokes. But eventually Mason Jones is just like, alright, well, fuck this dude. Gets full mount, just starts laying elbows. They stopped it basically because there was about 30 unanswered elbows from Blagioki. And by unanswered, I just mean Blagioki trying to grab the elbow, not really able to grab it. Isn't damaged, like, physically by it. Like, there's no cuts, no bruising, no blood coming off of Blagioki or anything. But he couldn't stop it. I get why they stopped the fight, but could have gone on a little bit longer in my opinion. Way more okay with this stoppage than any other of the bullshit stoppages on this fucking card. But regardless, Blagioki, yeah, he just gassed out. Not really gassed out, he just got outskilled. Really, he just got outskilled on the ground. Stand-up's pretty alright though. For lightweight, though, it's a little rough. Like, Blagioki's never going to be anything at lightweight, but he could probably beat, like, the featherweights moving up. Like, Drakkar Klose, maybe? I think he could probably beat. Stuff like that, you know? I think he's got, like, decent odds of beating that. Maybe not Drakkar Klose. Drakkar Klose got good wrestling, to be fair. He's got to fight, like, strikers that are weak physically, you know? So, I don't know. We'll see. But Mason Jones looked pretty good in this fight. Doesn't move his head. Very hittable. He's a punching bag. But he literally, like, he fights like prime Marvin Vettori, where he just gets boxed up, and he'll take one to give one while blast double-legging you, you know? And his wrestling looked insane in this fight. Bro, the fucking throw he got was complete aura. God damn. He got that fucking flip, and you instantly like, yep, that's my Timu JDM out there. Hey. That's my JDM out there, you know? Fucking, he made his brother JDM look pretty proud. They're not brothers, by the way. I'm just saying it because they look they look very similar, you know? But Mason Jones, don't think he'll be that much. He's kind of just like he's a Grant Dawson with more HP and more willing to strike. You know? Like, his grappling's pretty good. But I just... Like, eventually his chin's gonna get cracked. Eventually someone's just gonna right hand down the pipe and put him out. You know, like Bobby Green did to Grant Dawson. Like, I think someone's gonna do it. Don't know who it's gonna be. But seems like to beat Mason Jones, you have to have good takedown defense. And you have to be powerful on the feet. And that's about it. You know? Yeah, you know. I've seen enough Mason Jones, Grant Dawson, book it. Book it! No, I don't know what you do with Mason Jones next. There's a lot of bums in lightweight. Let him fight a lot more bums, you know? Get him some wins. Get him on a win streak, 5 or 6, then give him a rank, you know? But yeah, Mason Jones looked good. Welshman gets it done. Hey, got the prediction wrong. It is what it is. Modestus Bukkake versus Paul Craig. Hey, tonight we lost a light heavyweight GOAT. We all know it. Paul Craig, the true undisputed light heavyweight GOAT. You know, John something, you know, maybe Bones something, whatever that fucking bum is. No one cares. Paul Craig, hey, submitted 2 champions, the current light heavyweight champion. Ugh, brings a tear in my eye to see the Scotsman leave so early. But I did get my prediction right. I went with Modestus Bukkake. Hey, I know. It was a tough one to predict, guys, but I was correct. Modestus Bukkake got it done in round 1. Yeah, Paul Craig is just, he doesn't have a chin. Like, that's it. Skill for skill, he's not bad. And, he's, like, bro, he is retarded when it comes to pulling guard. He tried pulling, like, most of this fight, it wasn't really much. It was Paul Craig's body kick of doom. You know, the Paul Craig push of fucking Pantheon. All right, Paul Craig had on Modestus Bukkake, putting him against the cage. But he eventually got reverse positioned and then pulled guard. Ended up on bottom, and I swear to God, Modestus landed one left hand, and put out Paul Craig. He stopped responding, and fucking Modestus landed a right, woke him up, landed another left, went to sleep, landed a right, woke him up, and then eventually Modestus is like, bro, this ref ain't gonna step in. I'm just gonna get on top of this guy and fucking start laying elbows. Gets on top, lays some elbows. Paul Craig goes out cold. Ref doesn't stop the fight. I think this was Herb Dean again. Ref doesn't stop the fight until Paul Craig's on the canvas, literally fucking dead. And then he's like, I guess I'll stop the fight, guys. We've seen him die. And then our legend Paul Craig, the true light heavyweight GOAT, undefeated, undisputed, fraud checked Bo Nickel before anyone did. Paul Craig, you know, beat 2 light heavyweight champions. What a king we had. Sad day for all of Scotland, Paul Craig leaving, but it is what it is. I think it's time for him to retire anyways. He's like 40 years, 37, 38 years old, something like that, on a very bad skid, even though I do think he beat Bo Nickel. But yeah, I think it's about right for Paul Craig to retire, and Modestus looked pretty shit out there. I don't rate Modestus Bukkake, and I still think he sucks, but I did pick him to beat Paul Craig. It is what it is. Moving on, Benoit Saint Denis versus Mauricio Huffy. Hey, just how good is Renato Moicano, guys? Hey, just, oh man, just never doubt our casual GOAT, Lucas Glazy. All right, Peaches and Creamville is on top. All right, Benoit Saint Denis gets it done. Fraud checks Mauricio Huffy. This is kind of like good both ways, in my opinion. Benoit Saint Denis back in the win column. All right. Hey, just how good is Prepperlek, guys? How good is the Canadian fighter Prepperlek? Jesus Christ. You know, making Benoit Saint Denis look like he doesn't belong on the feet, guys. Like, gee, just how good is our Canadian fighters? Anyways, yeah, Benoit Saint Denis, round 1, tries to smother Huffy. Does a pretty good job. Has Huffy in a lot of very sketchy positions. You know, getting full mount sometimes, getting the back. Locking in, what are those called? Not arm triangles. What are those called? Is it an arm triangle? Yeah, it's something like that. I can't fucking remember off the top of my head. My brain's getting a little cooked. I've been yapping a little too much, but yeah, tried to get the front choke in. Couldn't really lock it in. Mauricio Huffy had some pretty good sub defense there. He had some pretty good scrambles to get back to his feet, and he was landing all right. But by the end of, like, the last minute of round 1, it literally seemed like Huffy was like, oh shit, this round's cooked. I'm not finishing this guy. Let me just stare at this guy for a minute. And he just stared at him. And then round ended. Mauricio Huffy looks like fraud check incoming, you know? And then round 2 kicks off, and Mauricio Huffy is starting to try to style on him. Stuffs a takedown. Benoit has some of the slowest striking and slowest takedown I fucking have ever seen. Shoots a takedown, gets hit by a right and then a flying knee. What a fucking clean flying knee that was. Benoit eats it to the chin, shoots a really sloppy takedown, or like fakes it, and then gets back up to his feet, you know, and that kind of activated second phase, and Benoit's just like, wait a minute, I've been in here with Poirier. Dives at the legs, gets Huffy down, pushes him to the fence. They have a little bit of a fence battle where it's like Benoit trying to drag Huffy, get him fucking away from that fence. Get over here. Yeah, I have fought terrorist before. You will not escape. Fucking ragging him down, you know? And yeah, I mean, he just smothered him, got to the back, and once he got back to his back, he sort of locked in the rear naked. In my opinion, I do think Huffy made a big mistake not, like, shucking off Mauricio Huffy. Now, it was at the angle, but it really did seem like Huffy had Benoit pretty high on his back when they were out in the open, and Huffy could have just, like, shuck him off or, like, rolled, and then he probably would have had Benoit on his back, and then he could have, like, fought for something there, you know, like reverse position, you know, because they're sweaty and everything in round 2, but he didn't go for it. He went to the cage, and Benoit was just still on that back, locks in the rear naked, and it was looking like Huffy might be able to survive it until Benoit covered his mouth with his arm, and at that point, it was like, you're fucked. Like, I saw that, and I'm like, damn, Huffy's about to tap. He's fucked, and then he taps. when you're in a submission like that, when your mouth get like, I've been in, hey, back in my prime, okay, let me tell you, in my jiu-jitsu days, my about 2 months of experience, okay, I was that guy who didn't really tap until something was about to break, to be fair. But when I would be put in a rear naked choke like that, even under the chin and shit, I am breathing, I am clenched teeth, mouth guard, you know, breathing as much as I can through my mouth while I'm trying to chuck my chin. The problem is that when someone covers your mouth, your nostrils are the only thing exhaling and intaking air while your whole fucking face is being crunched, you know? And that's a lot of oxygen you gotta get out of there, you know? So I think Mauricio's fucking face was turning purple. I think he was just cooked. And there's no way of like fighting that out. It's like too late at that moment. He doesn't have enough oxygen to get that strength to like lift him up. So it is what it is. Mauricio off, he taps. I thought he was gonna get fraud checked. I just thought this was a style mismatch. Because Benoit is slow on the feet and he does just charge forward, and Mauricio Huffy is really, really good at watching a guy charge forward and like no look left hand uppercut, fucking spinning wheel kick right on the button, you know, like he's really good at that stuff. But it just seemed like Benoit survived a lot more than I think a lot of people are expecting. By a lot more, I just mean some really, really good right hands and a flying knee. That flying knee, I think, that flying knee puts away the Benoit that fought Dustin Poirier. But people forget, man, Dustin Poirier versus Benoit Saint Denis, BSD did have staph infection. People forget, man. But yeah, Benoit Saint Denis is pretty fucking good. Still legit, still an assassin, and only 29 years old, you know? So Benoit can still be something. It's just not going to be champ, you know what I mean? But yeah, Mauricio Huffy's good. He's got to get back to the drawing board. Don't fight these fucking... This felt like what Sean O'Malley Merab 2 was, you know? When we got, like, at least to, like, when it got to round 3. When I got to round 3, I'm like, okay, O'Malley got taken down. It is what it is. Just wait till he gets back up, and he'll start piecing him up. But out of nowhere, just, like, that submission got locked in from Merab, and he got choked out. This was sort of a similar thing. It's like, okay, Mauricio Huffy survived everything up until now. All he needs to do is survive this. You know, maybe shuck him off, maybe reverse position, get a scramble going. And, you know, he'll be back on his feet. And then all of a sudden, Benoit locks in the back, locks in the rear naked. And it's like, oh, shit. Nah, he's not going to tap to this, right? Surely he's not going to... Oh, shit, he taps. All right, well, you know, that's kind of how it felt for me. It is what it is. Mauricio Huffy gets fraud checked. I wasn't that big on Mauricio Huffy anyways. I do think that James On Top fight was really, really close. And we should have seen the signs, brother. But how good is Proper Left, boys? How good is a Canadian fighter in Big 2025? Anyways, moving on. Nasruddin Imavov versus Caio Borralho. I picked Caio. I bet on Nasruddin Imavov. Smart cookie here. All right? You're telling me Imavov, a guy who just smoked Izzy in 2 rounds, is the underdog against a decision fighter who's basically Paulo Costa at light heavyweight. I'm not going to pick Imavov because all he has is that X Factor KO power. But I'll bet on Imavov. You know what I mean? I am picking Imavov to win this fight, especially with fighting Nerd Aura. But Caio looked good in this fight. This looked like probably the best Caio. I rewatched some of the Caio fights before this fight on Friday, and yeah, I thought his leg kicks were terrible. Absolutely terrible. And I'm like, yikes, if he does that against Imavov, he's getting smoked. But his kicks looked way better in this fight. Striking looked really good. He did Caio things, and overall, I do think this was a 3-2 either way. I personally, if this was 3-2 Imavov, I agree. If you said 3-2 Caio, I'm like, okay, I kind of see it. But yeah, I thought round 1 was pretty close. I thought Caio Borralho won round 1. But you could have given it to Imavov. That's like a swing round in my opinion. Round 2 I thought was pretty clear. Imavov, I want to say. Yeah, I thought it was pretty clear Imavov. Round 2. Round 3 was pretty clear Caio. I thought Caio was doing really well. He was starting to trade a lot more. Overall, this was a very boring fight. It was just like kick, run away, dodge the jab, dodge the right. This was what it was for 3 rounds. Nut shot, eye pokes from both. I mean, to be fair, Kyle, when he landed a nut shot, he said, yo, ref, I nut shotted him. Let's take a breather here. Let him take a breather. Nasruddin Imavov landed a nut shot. Ref didn't give a fuck. Nasruddin Imavov landed 2 eye pokes, maybe even 3, but he landed 2 eye pokes. He lands, I think, 1 eye poke every single fight. That's got to be a stat somewhere. But yeah, Imavov landed an eye poke. Probably one of the biggest cheaters, honestly. And yeah, lands an eye poke, I think, in round 3, I want to say. And that's where Kyle starts picking it up, you know? I think Kyle landed a nut shot. Imavov's like, I bet, eye pokes him. And then Kyle starts trying to pressure. Does pretty well, to be honest. He does really well, like, moving forward on Imavov. Imavov would land back here and there, but overall, he just wasn't landing enough, in my opinion. So I had it, like, 2-1 Kyle going into the 4th. I thought the 4th was pretty clear Imavov. Imavov was doing pretty well. He was lighting up Kyle Braulio, rocked him pretty bad. I think that's when you started seeing a little bit more damage on Kyle's face. What a fucking chin he has, eh? Both of these guys have really good chins, but Kyle, like, his chin HP is reflected by how big his fucking chin is. You know, that guy's got a massive head. And then round 4, yeah, I just thought it was clear Imavov. Imavov was landing bigger shots. Imavov was landing more shots. He was pushing the pace. Round 5, I thought was pretty clear Kyle, even though, this is where I do think it's bullshit. Imavov landed, like, he landed an eye poke, but I think he landed a groin shot and then an eye poke in round 5. And the ref, I think it was Smart Goddard, man. This guy literally said, I'm going to take a point. Doesn't take a point after talking with Imavov. And then it proceeds to be a Kyle round, in my personal opinion. We go to decision. If that point was taken away, we're looking at a draw on paper. Sorry, we're looking at a draw if you actually watch the fight. On paper, one of the judges had it 50-45. That is a pre-written... Like, I know MMA Guru says it all the time. That is genuinely a pre-written scorecard. There is no shot you give Imavov every single round. You can't give him round 3. They traded illegal shots. None of them had a deduced point. And Kyle was pushing the pace the whole time. Landing more shots, landing bigger shots, wobbling Imavov, having him fucking jelly-legged at one moment. And you're giving that round to Imavov. It's just a pre-written scorecard. And then the other ones were 4-1. I think 49-46 would be the scorecard. The other two were 49-46. I completely disagree. Yeah, I don't think it's 4-1 Imavov. I think this is 3-2 best case scenario. Imavov wins. I'm up money. I put 25. I doubled it because he was an underdog. I'm up money. I ain't complaining. But I genuinely think Kyle was like he was done dirty in this fight. They should have taken a point from Imavov, and Kyle should have got more of those rounds awarded to him. Those were pre-written scorecards. What can you do? Imavov is French in France. Pre-written scorecard. It is what it is. We move on to the next event, which 0-2 for the Fighting Nerds. Have they been fraud checked? Tune in next weekend when we have Diego Lopez versus Gene Silva to find out truly, have the Fighting Nerds lost all aura? Are the Fourth Horsemen all cooked? But yeah, that's been my breakdown takeaway from every single fight from Nasruddin Imavov versus Ciao. I want to thank you for watching, and as always, I hope you have a good day.